Hi. So today I'm going to talk about the flower essence Larch. Um, I think there's a couple of companies that make this. This is just the one that I happened to buy first time. This can be found at Sprouts, Whole Foods, online, and probably any like little local herb stores. So Larch is a flower essence that I started taking about 5 weeks ago, I think. I've been taking it in combination with banana flower essence, which I have talked about banana flower essence before. Banana is a wonderful essence for helping you take action and be motivated. And it's probably one of my favorite flower essences to work with right now. And it's also a confidence builder. So the reason I chose larch and banana together is they complement each other. However, they both are slightly different. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the differences I noticed working with larch compared to when I talked about banana previously. Um, so I have little notes here that I want to be reading. So Larch is great for people who are afraid of change. And it also helps people stop comparing, and it helps create inspiration, as well as it gives strength to like self-belief and self-motivation. And it helps people that feel like they lack competence or have no abilities to do things that they want to do. It's great for rebuilding low self-esteem, so that way the person can have like an increased sense of self-worth and higher self-esteem. Of course, as I'm talking about this, I just noticed that I'm wearing a yellow shirt, which if you're familiar with your chakras, yellow is the solar plexus, and solar plexus is like our power chakra, but it also is our chakra that has to do with confidence and self-esteem, and it's where the inner child resides. So it's no coincidence that I chose this shirt today. I just realized that. So as far as my experience with Larch, I started taking it because I wanted to put more time aside into making content for my business and being more disciplined and structured, and really just like loving myself and embodying everything that I've been working on. So that way I can take it out into the world and help other people practice embodiment and help them be confident in the things that they want to approach in life. So for me, the changes that I noticed is I started a new job about a week and a half or 2 weeks after I started taking Larch flower essence. And I was really nervous going back into the workforce because I hadn't worked for like a year and a half because of my car accident. And then I became even more nervous because I realized I was going to have to go back into the food industry, which I hadn't originally wanted to do. However, I talked about that in another video, and that goes with the fall theme of moving backward to move forward. And so going into the food industry ended up being a wonderful thing for me. Anyways, back to this video. So I started a new job, and I was nervous starting because, I mean, I'm never around people anyways. Like I know a lot of people probably have a little bit of social awkwardness right now with the pandemic. But I've just been digging so deep into self-healing and shadow work that like I just am not around people a lot. And so I was nervous going back to work in a very social setting, but it was very, very easy transition for me. And I do think that the Larch flower essence helped remove some of those reservations that I might have had. And taking the Larch flower essence, I finally really started to like put my foot down on creating time management boundaries with myself and purposely making at least one day a week time for me to focus on creating content for my business or researching how to market or doing self-healing and self-work, so that way my business could be more well received and prosperous and generate more income, because ultimately I would like to leave working for others so that I could work for myself. So yeah, I started being dedicated to that, and I've had to say no several times to people that have asked me to do stuff on Mondays because that's my business day. And I don't think I would have been able to say no had I not been taking the Larch paired with the banana essence, because I know the banana essence has to do with take action. So the no is the action in a sense, but the Larch gave me the confidence to say no, and to feel okay working on stuff for the betterment of myself. Let's see. Oh, yes. And then with the stopping self-comparisons, a couple of weeks after work started, I realized that I needed to try new things on social media that I was originally uncomfortable with. And I didn't think I was going to do the best at them, but I've started creating reels on Instagram and shorts on YouTube. And I've stopped comparing myself to other people that are in a similar line of work as me. I don't watch their stuff or anything. And I do my thing. And by doing my thing, I really make way for my intuition and my inner gifts and abilities to come through. It's good to like study people to see how they got to where they're going, but at the same time, you don't want to study to the point where you're just comparing and you don't think you can do it because you're not doing it their way. We all have our own soul paths where we do things our own way. And maybe we might have forgotten our way, but we sometimes can rekindle and reconnect with our way just by like observing or studying people. However, you don't want to put too much focus into other people because then you're going to possibly create a block with yourself to where you won't be able to get past your fear of not being good enough or just those little self-esteem driven things that the Larch essence is taken to help with. So yeah, I started slowly expanding my horizons. And then it was really interesting the other day because it says lack of confidence and thinking like you don't have the abilities to do something. So for me, I've noticed that it's like a push and pull for me to work on my business at times. And it's not like I don't want to do it. It's just I feel there's always something coming up that takes me away from it. Um, However, I think it's because I started taking the Larch essence. The Larch essence went ahead and brought to the surface some patterns that needed healing and releasing and clearing. So I don't know if I've mentioned it before in other videos, but I do partake in receiving energy work for myself every month. It's a mixture of Reiki and resonance repatterning and self-emotion coding. However, I receive the resonance repatterning from a resonance repatterning practitioner, and I do her free group repatterning every month, and then I do a paid session with her. And the way resonance repatterning works is through muscle testing, your body gives the answers of what it wants to work on that day, which I really like that because I like the idea of your body being in charge instead of giving power to someone else to like do the healing for you. I like that my body gets to dictate things. That's also why I like emotion code because it's based on muscle testing as well. And with Reiki, I like it because when you're doing the pendulum dowsing on the chakras, it's the person's body answering and giving you the input needed to help them move energy out of their bodies and move energy into their bodies. Like I like the modalities that are empowering. So anyways, I went for resonance repatterning and the patterns that came up for me were quite surprising. I haven't thought of them in years, and I think the Larch made it possible to think of them. And it went back to when I was 11 or 12, so I think that's like 6th or 7th grade. And long story short, the repatterning ended up revolving around patterns that were created when I was bullied in 6th or 7th grade. And it was really interesting because I think it was 7th grade when I started getting bullied. It was a really tumultuous time in my life, and I still have a lot of this blocked out. But it was a tumultuous time in my life, and my best friend, she had entered my life in 6th grade shortly after my brothers were signed away for adoption. And basically, she was like the sister I prayed for because it was hard losing my siblings. But then in 7th grade, she ended up moving across town and going to another school. So it's like I was still reeling from the loss of my siblings, but then I was now reeling from the loss of my best friend. And her being my best friend in 6th grade was helpful because we were both in a gifted and talented class, or GT class. And I didn't get picked on when she was in the class with me. It was when she left the class that I started getting picked on because she was a really tall girl. And I think maybe she intimidated some of the boys in our grade level in 6th grade because of how tall she was. But anyways, once she left, I was by myself and I got bullied a ton. And the teacher didn't do anything about it. My mom tried and tried to like have the school intervene. And then finally I just had to leave the gifted and talented class because I couldn't take the meanness anymore. So I left it. And then interestingly, in this resonance repatterning, the GT class came up and the patterns that needed turning off had to do with me having these old patterns where I had made it a coping mechanism to where it was safer to hide my gifts and talents. And it was safer to not show my true self. And it was safer to just like be in the shadows and not like light up my inner light. And all of those patterns got turned off with the resonance repatterning, and then healthier patterns came in. So that way I could be confident in shining my light, and I could be confident in tapping into my gifts and abilities and showing my gifts and abilities. And I think it was these old patterns with getting bullied and gifts and talents. Like here I was in a gifts and talented class, and yet my gifts and talents were what was getting me bullied. And so, yeah, now it's interesting because with the large flower essence and low self-esteem and confidence, and then that push and pull I was having with making dedicated time for my business as well as like manifestation work, like visualizing things and writing things down and stuff. Like uh, now with the resonance repatterning, I'm able to move forward without that resistance and that push and pull. And I don't think this pattern would have came up had I not been taking the large flower essence. So that's a pretty interesting thing to like reflect on. So yeah, I don't know. I have about like one more week left of it, week and a half maybe. Um, I've been taking it twice a day instead of 3 or 4 times a day, just because now that I'm working, I think it's wiser to take the smaller dose so that way I don't have any like cries or anything crazy going on at work. If it's an off day, I'll take it twice a day and then I'll go ahead and put it in a bath as well, because that way it runs through your system deeper. Um, yeah, that's what I got on the large flower essence. Hopefully this is insightful to you. And if you are taking flower essences, I'd love to hear your comments down below. So feel free to share. Thank you. Namaste. Aho.